The mining colony on Kepler 442b was dying. The distress signal had been broadcasting for 3 days, growing weaker with each transmission. Admiral Vex High of the Galactic Confederation. Navy stared at the tactical display aboard his flagship, watching red dots move across the screen like drops of blood. Zaphiran raiders, sir, his tactical officer reported. At least 3 full battle groups. They've surrounded the colony completely. Vex's 4 eyes narrowed. The Zapirians were known throughout the galaxy for their brutality. They took what they wanted and left nothing behind but ash and corpses. The mining colony had 12,000 civilians, including families and children. How long until our nearest fleet arrives? Vexy asked. 18 hours, Admiral. Too long. By then, the colony would be nothing but rubble and memories. Vexy was about to order what ships he had in the area to attempt a rescue, when his communications officer spoke up. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from an unknown vessel. They're requesting permission to assist. Unknown vessel. Vex's tentacles twitched with curiosity. Display it. The main screen flickered, showing a ship unlike anything in Confederation records. It was angular and grey, built for function rather than beauty. Strange markings covered its hull, and weapon ports dotted its surface like dark eyes. This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force destroyer HMS Relentless. Came a voice through the speakers. We received the distress call and are en route to assist. Estimated arrival time is 4 hours. Vexy had heard whispers of these humans, a new species that had recently made contact with the Confederation's outer colonies. Their technology seemed primitive compared to most galactic civilizations, but something about them made even seasoned diplomats nervous. Commander Chen, Vexy replied. I appreciate your offer, but you don't understand the situation. The Zapirians have over 60 ships and 15,000 warriors. What force are you bringing? There was a pause. 1 battalion admiral, about 800 soldiers. Vex's bridge crew exchanged glances. His tactical officer whispered, Sir, that's suicide. The Zapirians will tear them apart. Commander, Vexi said carefully, perhaps you should wait for Confederation reinforcements. This enemy is extremely dangerous. Admiral, with respect, we've dealt with dangerous enemies before. Well, handle this. The transmission ended, leaving Vex High staring at the empty screen. He had seen many brave warriors in his long career, but this seemed less like courage and more like madness. 4 hours later, 3 human ships dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler 442b. They were small compared to the massive Zaphiran vessels surrounding the colony. Vexi watched through long-range sensors as the human ships moved into formation. What are they doing? His tactical officer asked. They're not even trying to hide. The Zaphirans will detect them immediately. Maybe that's the point, Vexi murmured. The Zaphiran response was swift and violent. 20 ships broke off from the colony siege to engage the humans. Vexi expected to witness a massacre. But what happened next changed everything he thought he knew about warfare. The human ships didn't run or try to fight in space. Instead, they launched hundreds of small pods toward the planet's surface, while their ships provided covering fire. The pods were dropships, Vexi realized, carrying soldiers directly into combat. Admir, his sensor operator called out. I'm reading massive energy signatures from the planet. The humans are engaging the Zaphirians on the ground. Vexi activated the planet's surface monitors. What he saw made his blood run cold, but not from fear of the humans losing. It was the opposite. Human soldiers moved across the battlefield like nothing he had ever seen. They worked together with perfect coordination, each squad knowing exactly where the others were and what they were doing. When Zapirans attacked from one direction, humans flanked them from 3 others. When the aliens tried to use their superior numbers, the humans separated them into smaller groups and destroyed them piece by piece. But it wasn't just their tactics that amazed Vexi. It was their attitude. When Zapirans charged with their traditional battle cries, meant to strike fear into enemies, the humans didn't panic or retreat. They held their ground and fought back twice as hard. When a human soldier fell wounded, his comrades didn't abandon him. They fought even more fiercely to protect him. Get me a direct feed from the surface, Vexi ordered. The main screen showed Commander Chen leading a charge against a Zaphiran stronghold. She moved with calm precision, giving orders while dodging enemy fire. Her soldiers followed her without question, trusting her completely. "Bravo team, take the left flank." Chen's voice came through the comm system. "Charlie team, suppress that heavy weapons position. Delta, prepare for breach and clear." The humans moved like they shared one mind. They used cover effectively, supported each other's advances, and adapted instantly when plans changed. Most shocking of all, they showed no fear of death. When the situation called for sacrifice, human soldiers made it willingly to save their comrades or complete the mission. Within 6 hours, the impossible had happened. 800 human soldiers had defeated 15,000 Zaphiran warriors. The aliens who weren't dead were retreating to their ships in panic. "Commander Chen," Vexir transmitted to the surface. "How is this possible? Your forces were outnumbered 20 to 1. Chen's image appeared on screen. She looked tired but satisfied. "Admiral, we've been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've learned a few things about it. But the Zaphirians are some of the most feared warriors in the galaxy. They've conquered dozens of worlds. Maybe they never fought humans before." Chen replied with a small smile. As the human ships prepared to leave, Vexai couldn't contain his curiosity any longer. "Commander, I must ask, the soldiers you brought today, are they your elite forces? Your best warriors?" Chen looked genuinely confused by the question. "Elite? No, Admiral. These are regular army units. Standard infantry battalions. Nothing special about them." Vexer felt something cold settle in his stomach. "Regular? You mean this is normal for human military forces?" "Pretty much. We have units that are much more specialized for different types of missions. But these guys represent the backbone of our military. Good soldiers, but nothing out of the ordinary by human standards." After the human ships jumped to hyperspace, Vexai sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display. The Zaphiran fleet was gone, fled in terror from a force they had outnumbered 20 to 1. The colony was safe, its people alive, because 800 humans had decided to help strangers. His communications officer approached carefully. "Admiral, should I file a standard after-action report?" Vexahai considered this. How could he possibly explain what he had witnessed? How could he describe warriors who fought like demons but showed mercy to prisoners? Soldiers who sacrificed themselves for others without hesitation, yet celebrated victory with quiet dignity. "Yes," he finally said, "but add a special notation. Mark it for immediate review by Confederation intelligence." "What should the notation say, sir?" Vexer looked at the empty space where the human ships had been. "Write this. If these are their regular forces, we need to learn everything we can about what else they have." As his flagship turned toward home, Vexai couldn't shake the image of Commander Chen's casual smile when she called her warriors. Nothing special. If 800 ordinary humans could accomplish the impossible, what could their special forces do? He wasn't sure he wanted to find out. 6 months after the Kepler 442b incident, the Galactic Confederation Council chambers buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from dozens of species filled the circular hall, their various forms, creating a rainbow of colors and shapes. At the center podium, Admiral Vexer prepared to deliver his report on the newest members of the galactic community. Honorable Councillors, Vexer began his 4 eyes scanning the assembled crowd. "I present my findings on the human military capabilities, as observed during the Kepler Colony Rescue Operation." The massive holographic display behind him activated, showing footage from the battle. Many councillors leaned forward in their seats. Stories of the human victory had spread across the galaxy like wildfire, but few had seen actual evidence. Councillor Threndy, a tall insectoid being from the Hyvac Collective, raised one of her blade-like arms. "Admiral, before you begin, I must ask, are these reports accurate? 800 humans defeated 15,000 Zaphirans. The reports are conservative." "If anything," Bishai replied, "the humans lost only 37 soldiers. The Zaphirians lost over 12,000. A ripple of disbelief passed through the chamber. The Zaphirians had been a plague on the galaxy for centuries. Their warrior culture and brutal tactics had made them feared across dozens of star systems. "Show us how they fight," called out Councillor Mixa, a crystalline being whose body reflected the chamber lights. We need to understand what makes them so effective. Vexi activated the first recording. The holographic display showed human soldiers moving across the battlefield. Notice their coordination, he pointed out. Each unit knows exactly where the others are and what they're doing. They don't need constant communication because they think the same way. The footage showed a squad of humans being surrounded by Zaphiran warriors. Instead of panicking, they formed a defensive circle and called for support. Within minutes, 2 other squads attacked the Zaphirans from behind, while a third provided covering. Fire from elevated positions. They plan for everything. Vexi continued. When Plan A fails, they immediately switch to Plan B. When that fails, they have Plan C, D, and E ready to go. Councillor Jakra, whose species had fought the Zaphirans for decades with limited success, stood up. Admiral, the Zaphirans are not cowards. What made them retreat so quickly? Vexa switched to another recording. Watch this engagement carefully. The display showed a human medic running into heavy fire to reach a wounded comrade. Instead of retreating when the medic was shot, more humans charged forward to protect both their wounded friends. The Zaphirans, who were used to enemies breaking when they took casualties, found themselves facing an enemy that fought harder when their people were hurt. The humans have a saying, Vexi explained. They leave no one behind. This isn't just a rule. It's something they believe completely. A human soldier knows that his comrades will die before they abandon him. This makes them willing to take risks that would terrify other species. But surely they have limits. Councillor Threndi argued. No species fights without fear. They do feel fear, Vexi agreed. But they don't let it control them. Watch this. The next recording showed Commander Chen leading a charge against a fortified Zaphiran position. Enemy fire filled the air around her, but she kept advancing. Her soldiers followed because they trusted her judgment completely. Human military culture is based on something they call discipline. Vexa said they train constantly not just to fight but to overcome their natural instincts. A human soldier will run toward danger if ordered to, even when every nerve in their body tells them to run away. The recordings continued, showing one impossible feat after another. Humans using captured enemy weapons with deadly efficiency. Human engineers building defensive positions under fire. Human pilots flying damaged aircraft on suicide missions to protect ground troops. Their technology isn't the most advanced we've seen, Vexi admitted, but they use it more effectively than anyone else. They adapt constantly. When one weapon doesn't work, they try another. When their equipment fails, they improvise with whatever is available. Councillor Vorak, a massive reptilian being, slammed his clawed hand on his desk. This is all very impressive, Admiral, but what does it mean for the rest of us? Are these humans a threat? That depends, Vexi replied carefully. From what I observed, humans only fight when attacked or when protecting others. They showed mercy to Zapiranian prisoners and helped evacuate wounded enemies. But make no mistake, if someone threatens humans or their allies, the response will be swift and terrible. What about their government? Asked Councillor Meekster. Can they be reasoned with? Human diplomats are intelligent and reasonable, Vexa said, but they're backed by the most effective military force I've ever encountered. This gives their words significant weight in negotiations. Councillor Threndi raised her arm again. Admiral, during your interaction with the humans, did they mention anything about their military structure? Do they have specialized forces beyond these regular troops? Vexa paused, remembering his conversation with Commander Chen. When I complimented their soldiers' performance, Commander Chen seemed surprised. She said they were just regular army units. Nothing special by human standards. D. Chamber fell silent. If these devastating warriors were considered ordinary by human standards, what did their elite forces look like? I made discreet inquiries during subsequent diplomatic meetings. Vexi continued. Human officials become very quiet when asked about their specialized military units. They use terms like classified and need-to-know basis. But I did learn that they have something called special forces. Special forces. Councillor JRA leaned forward. What are they? I don't know, Vexi admitted. Every time I asked, human officials changed the subject, but from their body language and tone. These special forces are something they take very seriously. How serious could they be? Councillor Vorak growled. We've seen what their regular troops can do. How much better could their elite be? That's what worries me, Vexa said quietly. If humans consider the warriors we saw to be ordinary, what does that say about the ones they consider extraordinary? The chamber erupted in worried conversations. Representatives whispered among themselves in dozens of languages, all discussing the same question. What were humans hiding? There's something else, Vexa said, raising his voice to restore order. During my research, I discovered that humans have been fighting wars on their home planet 4. Their entire recorded history. They've been testing and improving their military tactics for thousands of years against enemies who know all their strategies. What does that mean? Councillor Meekster asked. It means that every human military unit has faced opponents who are just as smart, just as well trained, and just as motivated as they were. They've survived by becoming better at warfare than anyone else. The Zapirians thought they were fierce warriors, but they had never faced an enemy that was fiercer. Councillor Threndy stood up slowly. Admiral, what do you recommend? Vexai looked around the chamber at the worried faces of the Galactic community's leaders. I recommend that we make every effort to maintain good relations with humanity. As long as we are their friends, we have nothing to fear. But I also recommend that we never, under any circumstances, find out what their special forces are capable of. The vote to formally welcome humanity into the Galactic Confederation was unanimous. No one wanted to risk being on the wrong side of a species whose regular soldiers could defeat the galaxy's most feared warriors. As the council session ended, representatives from dozens of worlds made the same mental note. Whatever humans called special forces, it was probably better to never find out what they could do. The Joint Human Confederation research station at Wolf 359 was supposed to be a symbol of peaceful cooperation. Scientists from 12 different species worked together in the gleaming facility, sharing knowledge and building friendships across the stars. The station's defensive systems were minimal, just enough to deter pirates and prevent accidents. That's why the Korak Empire chose it as their target. Admiral, we are receiving multiple hyperspace signatures, reported Lieutenant Hayes from the station's command center. 47 ships, all unknown configuration. Admiral Patricia Morrison, the station's human commander, studied the tactical display with growing concern. The approaching fleet was massive, far larger than any trading convoy or diplomatic mission. IFFF, signals, she asked. Nothing, They're running silent. Morrison activated the emergency alert system. Throughout the station, alarms began blaring as scientists and support staff rushed to emergency positions. She opened a channel to the approaching fleet. Unknown vessels,